My name is Jolo.
My name is Cyrus.
I'm Shayan.
I'm Eliza.
So, Immanuel Kant was born on April 22, 1724, in Königsberg, Russia. While tutoring his published science papers, he spent the next 15 years as a metaphysics professor. So our next topic is all about deontological ethics. Deontological theories holds that some acts are always wrong, even if the act leads to admirable outcome. A child is stealing an apple from a vendor due to hunger. A deontologist would say that the child is wrong regardless of the child's hunger.
So, what is consequentialism? Consequentialism is the class of normative ethical theories holding that the consequences of one's actions are the basis for any judgment about the goodness and wrongness of that action. Consequentialism prioritizes the maximum amount of pleasure for the maximum amount of individuals, or, in a short term, hedonistic act of utilitarianism. Thus, for a consequentialist, a moral right act is one that will produce a good outcome or consequence. A simple set of examples can explain it a lot easier, like example number 1. A doctor has 5 pills that can cure a disease 6 people have. One of the people has a severe case and needs all 5 pills, but the other 5 only need 1 pill each. So, what should the doctor do? Use all 5 pills to save one person, or distribute all the pills to each of the 5 people that need only one? The utilitarian would say that the doctor should give the 5 pills to the 5 people while abandoning the one person with the severe disease, because it gives the maximal amount of people the maximal amount of pleasure. One person has a lever that directs a train between 2 railways. One railway has 5 random people trapped on its track, while the other track has their significant other bound in that track. What should that person do? The utilitarian would say that he should abandon his significant other and save the other 5 people. The third example is one that really shows how minor decisions are really affected by this philosophy. Suppose you have a daily routine that says that you buy donuts and coffee for breakfast. The utilitarian would say that you should spend that money in cheaper products and donate the majority of that money to charity.
Universal law or universal principles refers as concepts of legal legitimacy actions whereby those principles or rules for governing human beings' conduct which are most universal in their acceptability, their applicability, translation, and philosophical basis are therefore considered to be most legitimate. One type of universal law is the law of logic, which prohibits logical contradiction, known as sophistic. Universal law. the law of logic is based upon the universal idea that logic is defined as that which is not
Illogical.
Universal law. The law of logic is based upon the universal idea that logic is defined as that which is not illogical, and that which is illogical is that which involves a logical contradiction, such as attempting to assert that an apple and no apple can exist at and in the same time and in the same place, and attempting to assert that A and not A can exist at and in the same time and in the same place. The universal law formula of the categorical imperative is an unconditional moral law stating that one should act only on the maxim by which you can at the same time will that it should become an universal law. A maxim is the motivating principle of reason for one's actions. What is maxim? A maxim is the motivating principle or reason for one's actions. As a universal law, all rational creatures must act according to the maxim. The CI or categorical imperative requires one to image a world where the maxim one wishes to act by becomes a universal law, in which all people must act according to a maxim.
So the first one is moral worth. Kant has something to say about what makes someone a good person. Keep in mind that Kant intends this to go along with the rest of this theory, and what one's duty would be determined by the categorical imperative. However, one can treat this as a separate theory to some extent and consider that one's duty is determined by some other standard.
Go.
So these two evaluates people. The first one is a person's action are right or wrong, and or a person is morally worthy or lacks moral worth. So the second one is a person's action determine her moral worth, but there is more to this than merely seeing if the actions are right or wrong. So Kant argues that a person is good or bad depending on the motivation of their actions and not a goodness of the consequences of those actions. In other words, if a person's emotions or desires cause them to do something, then that action cannot give them moral worth.
Go.
So this theory of moral worth involves identifying the individual as the author of moral law. One acts morally according to Kant when one chooses to act in a way in which that person would expect all people to act under those circumstances. Sabi nga ni Kant na if a person is good or bad, it depends naman siya sa motivation ng action ng isang tao, hindi sa goodness ng consequences sa actions na yun. Example dun sa good or bad, kunwari, dun sa good, gusto mo tulungan yung kaibigan mo sa assignments niya. Then yung bad naman, parang habang abala sa paggawa ng assignments yung kaibigan mo, pinagnanakawan mo na pala siya. So dito sinasabi ni Kant na it depends sa motivation ng action and hindi dun sa goodness of the consequences under dun sa situation na nangyayari.
So the next topic is the formula of humanity. According to Kant's formulation of humanity, it states that as an end in itself, Humans are required never to treat others merely as a means to an end, but always, additionally, as ends in themselves. It is perfectly fine to use things as mere means, but not humans. Never. Cut mo na. Kant pointed out that we do use people all the time, and that's okay. Because most of the time, we use other people as the means for something but not as a mere means. We still recognize their humanity when we use them and they agree to being used. Kant said that we deserve not to be used as mere means because of our autonomy. Unlike other things in the world, we're self-governed. We're able to set our own ends, to make our own free decisions based on our rational wills. This imbues us with an absolute moral worth, which means that we shouldn't be manipulated or manipulate others, autonomous agents, for our own benefits. And this means that things like lying and deceptions are never okay. For example, the man who would commit suicide in order to avoid continued misery would treating his humanity merely as a means. He would be essentially trading his humanity for happiness. So basically, dapat hindi sinasayang ang buhay kasi hindi lang dapat ito tinuturing basta-basta. May makatwirang dahilan ng pagkabuhay natin kasi may pakinabang tayo sa iba, pati sa sarili natin, at may sarili-sarili tayong layunin kung bakit tayo nabubuhay.
Your duty is to obey the moral law, not to try to predict the consequences. To act with a good will, duty for duty's sake, is intrinsically holy. Actions can be morally good, required, permitted, or forbidden. For example, if you hide an escaped Jew, Mr. A, in your house, and the police came to your door and asked you a straightforward question, "Is Mr. A in your house?" Your duty is to answer truthfully. Hypothetical imperative, a moral command that is conditional on personal motive or desire. It informs us of a factual relation between goal and how to achieve it. There is no concept of obligation attached to it, and Kant didn't see any moral reference in there. Categorical imperative demand that one simply do this or don't do this, whatever the circumstances. If you think someone stealing something of you is wrong, then anyone stealing anything should be wrong. It tells us what we ought to do, independent of circumstances or goals. By doing this, you are not just making the world a nicer place, but you are also making sure that morality is based on reason instead of emotion. It becomes consistent and equal to everyone.
Example, stealing, if we could all just help ourselves to whatever we needed. The idea of owning things would disappear, but then no one would be able to steal.
So our topic is about goodwill. So to act out of goodwill for Kant means to act out of sense of moral obligation or duty. Kant answers that we do our moral duty when our motive is determined by principle, recognized by reason, rather than the desire. For any expected consequences or emotional feelings which may cause us to act the way we do.
The good will really chooses to do its moral duty. That duty, in turn, is dictated solely by reason. but to use a person solely as a means to achieving our own goals is morally wrong.
So, goodwill is basically our duty or our obligation as a human. I mean, it also our free will, but you should look at it as an obligation to do something good to a human or to help people whenever they needed help. But there are no dark secrets or dark motivations. So, other than helping one person or one group of people. So, it's humanity towards the people, being hospitable without aiming for anything but to help.
On the other hand, if you help the person but your main motivation is to use him or her, or you have something on your mind that only you will benefit, we cannot recognize that as goodwill or good action because you have motives. You want yourself to benefit through faking your action by helping him or her and doing something good for a person.
So, yung magandang pagbatayan ng goodwill is yung example, yung matanda or yung babae, may dala-dala siya, sobrang dami niyang bit-bit na gamit. Then nakikita mo sa pocket niya na mahuhulog na yung phone niya. So, ikaw, ang nasa isip mo talaga, ang motibo mo talaga is tutulungan mo siya na wala kang iniisip na kahit ano. But, nakita mo na talagang yung cellphone niya is hindi niya na, kapag nahulog siya is hindi niya mararamdaman. So, ikaw ang nasa isip mo na ngayon, nag-iba na yung motibo mo na nagkaroon ka na ng dark motives. Naisip mo na kunin mo na lang yung cellphone. So, mababatay natin yung goodwill or by Immanuel Kant, yung principle niya na yun, based sa gagawin mong action, kung kukuhain mo ba yung cellphone ng matanda or nung babae, or talagang tutulungan mo na lang siya na walang iniisip na kahit ano.
Our second topic is notion of duty. On Kant's theory is an example of deontological moral theory. According to these theories, the rightness or wrongness of actions does not depend on their consequences, but on whether they fulfill our duty. Kant believed that there was a supreme principle of morality and he referred to it as categorical imperative.
So for Kant, what is the outcome or the consequences of your action does not matter to him. What matters to him is whether you fulfill your duty as a human. Yes, it is not your obligation, but whenever there are people who are in help or they needed your help, you'll feel like you needed to help them or you have the guts and you feel like you're obligated to help them, and that's what is duty for Kant.
Magandang pagbatayan natin dito sa notion of duty ay ang halimbawang meron kang kaibigan at may asawa siya, tapos nakita mo ang kanyang asawa na may kadate na iba at nalaman kaibigan mo din ito. At dito napapasok ang notion of duty ni Kant. Dapat mong sabihin sa kaibigan mo na may nakita kang kadate na iba ng kanyang asawa. At ito ay kaibigan mo rin. Kahit na may masaktan, ang mahalaga ay masabi mo ito at mapulpil mo ang duty mo. Dahil ang mahalaga ay sabihin mo sa kanila kung ano ang totoo at para malaman nila kung sino ang mali.
Immanuel Kant was a man who lived as he died, a free thinker, in an age when free thinkers were most abundant. From Isaac Newton discovering the gravity to Nietzsche's religious debates on the existence of God himself, publishing books that range from religion, philosophy, and ethics to even the hard and natural sciences of astrology and history. Speaking of sciences, Kant believes that man, or rather any being, has a goal to achieve. This is called a maxim in his terminology. A man, however, in Immanuel Kant's eyes, has a trait which he calls a categorical imperative. An assertion which states that man are naturally endowed with the ability and obligation toward right reason and acting. Immanuel Kant says that some actions are inherently evil, such as lies, theft, and murder. to name a few. These actions often are outside the maxims of man who would, in theory, engage in conflict only using word of mouth and clear logical reasoning, rather than illogical and irrational actions using no logic and ethics, but hands, force, and immorality. Those acts will, under any circumstance, be anything but evil, even if those actions are led to the highest benefit of the populace. That line of thinking is now called deontology. As stated above, no amount of good consequences will outweigh the acts performed to achieve those beneficial results. In simpler terms, actions are the point of moral argument on that action being good or evil. It is often argued by a similar yet directly opposite philosophy called consequentialism. It is a normative class of ethical theory that states that any and all actions are reconciled and scrutinized by the effect that action made, directly opposed to deontology.
Hi, I'm Yana.
And I am Carl.
So our topic for today is
Ang bobo mo!
The goodwill really chooses. On other hand, if you'll help the person, but your main motivation is to use him or her, or you have something on your mind that only we will, the goodwill freely chooses to do its moral duty. That duty, in turn, is dictated.
So, what is consequentialism?
So our next topic is all about deontological ethics.
A brief overview of Immanuel Kant's philosophy, which is deontology.
The deontology and nature of imperative. Deontology regards duty. What type of duty? The duty to respect the moral law.
What up, faggot?
Fag on everyone, fag!
Ooh. Pakita mo na ang blister mo, ha?
Magparash, blister, no?